This week on Press Any Key, we are doing a tier list. Okay, first of many tier lists to come. Now, I am of the mindset that this is not the best horror movies of all time. This is just the ones that we listed out and we've all seen.
It's a combination of, like, you know, we took a lot of the titles off of like greatest horror films. There's a few sprinkled in there that are more like recent ones that we've seen, and other ones that are just kind of like weighing things to be balanced, so they're not all like, this is S tier, this is A tier, and nothing else.
Yep. The A team.
But it's 24 titles based on at least 3 out of the 4 of us have seen these. So we will have to, just because we're going to be forced to make some decisions, some great movies are going to wind up in lower tiers than they might feel like they belong in.
Do you guys want to talk about like where horror movies sit for you in like cinema? Like, do you actively like going to see horror movies?
It's my favorite genre.
Yeah,
like overall.
Well, you've seen all of them on the list,
yeah.
so I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like there's so many stories, so many adaptations. And even me, like in my wildest dreams, if I were to ever make a movie, I always say I would start with a horror movie.
I mean, because it's the cheapest.
Well, not even that it's the cheapest. I think
a lot of people do that though in the industry.
Even if you have a bad story, you can still have a good horror movie.
You just kill everybody.
I mean? Like my angle would not be telling a good story. My angle would be gratuitous blood. Like cool. That's what I like the Saw movies growing up, so
that makes sense. But
yeah.
What about you, Rye?
To be perfectly honest, horror was a genre that I just wasn't into for the longest time. To say what it is, like I just was kind of scared of all this stuff. I'm not afraid to admit that.
Hey, fair enough. One time we started VHS. You know this story. We started VHS, and our friend had been mentioning like slowly throughout the night while we were hanging out, like, yeah, I'm not a really big fan of horror. Yeah, I don't like horror movies. I don't this. And we were like, yeah, but we're watching one anyway. So when we started it, he was like, all right, I'm gonna head out, and literally got up and left the hangout. Left the hangout. Is Danny.
You get that read early on in the horror movie. It's like, I can't do this. Yeah. I'm gonna be a puddle throughout this entire thing. At the end, you're not even gonna want.
I'm gonna fucking melt.
I'm gonna be sitting in a puddle.
Yeah. I am puddle.
I'm puddle.
Yeah, I mean, based like just the list that I have from here, like most of these I've only seen in the last like 2 or 3 years when I started wanting to watch horror movies, because I finally got to the point of like, oh, these are actually really entertaining and some of the best cinema we have just for originality. So it's as someone who's working in the industry like myself, it's important to watch them. So
what are you doing now?
I got to
start. What are you doing now before we start, if you don't mind talking about it?
I am an actor / writer.
Oh shit!
Here in Los Angeles. Just doing a lot of VO stuff and short film stuff.
A lot of horror movies.
Sweet.
I just did one recently. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that was
Were
was
you
pretty
scared?
Cool.
Were you scared the whole time?
Yeah, I scared myself. Yeah, like I was doing my lines and I was like scaring myself in the mirror.
Saw yourself in the mirror in a reflection and freaked out.
Yeah,
sick.
I was like, God damn it.
Oh shit! I'm such a scary guy.
Fucking good.
Oh, I scared myself. I didn't see that coming. Like, watch out, I might be coming around my own corner. All right.
Yeah, so but for me, horror never seemed like a genre that I was super into. I'm into like sci-fi and comedy a lot. But the more I looked at the list, I was like, oh yeah, I guess I do like horror.
Dude, we watched like exclusively in college.
Well, that was not my decision.
At my house, we watched horror almost nonstop at one point, because there was so many good ones that we had to watch. And like, I feel like horror for me, like I say before, is like As Above, So Below is not a good story. However, I watched that in a group of people, and it had enough scenes in it where we were all freaking out that like, all of us freaking out in that living room watching that. Remember, Matt was like strung across the back of the couch, like freaking out. Like, those are some of my best moments, or like, or my favorite moments rather, watching movies. And like, even that one movie that fucking Amber Heard made with John Carpenter, The Ward, where the monster basically looks like Corey Taylor from Slipknot, just jumping out with an axe the entire time. You haven't seen it. It's a horrible Netflix movie. Even then, I watched that in a room full of people that were like, we're hate watching this, and it was so much fun. You know what I mean?
And that's where horror really stands out amongst everything else. Is like if you watch it, like going to the theater and watching a horror movie is one of the best experiences you're gonna have because everybody's fully invested, and there's so many different reactions you're gonna get. Like I just went and saw Smile in the theater.
Oh, how was it? Because we want to go, but we can't. Well, I guess we can go this
horrifying.
week.
It is like jump scare after jump scare. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Really?
Interesting.
Completely well made film.
Oh my god, I've heard, and that's awesome. I'm so glad.
We're getting guttural reactions from the crowd in the theater. It was fantastic.
I saw the trailer for that movie and I thought it looked so fucking stupid. I was like, how are they still making horror movies this fucking dumb? And then I read the reviews and I heard it's like, oh, not only is it smart, but it's also terrifying. Okay, cool.
Yep. Exactly.
My brother doesn't go to the movies a lot. He's like, yeah, I usually hate the endings of movies, which I think is a weird complaint. But
he just never wants it to end.
He texted me after he got out of Smile, and he goes, it was like the best ending of any movie that I've seen. So
it was fantastic.
Better than Return of the King.
Definitely go check that out as soon as you can.
All right, so let's do this damn thing.
All right.
So,
like
we said before,
Pat?
list of movies that we've just all seen. So right off the bat, we have Nightmare on Elm Street.
Like, so I love like classic horror, like shit like that.
I love 80. The 80s are
like,
me.
So
I'm
like late 70s, early 80s.
This
horror,
is
to me,
I say S tier. Yeah,
like,
yeah. So 2 for S tier.
The first versions of a lot of these.
Yeah, I would agree. I think like, you take one of the most iconic characters in cinema out of this. Like everybody knows who Freddy Krueger is, and I think what helps a lot of these is that the ones that they've made after the originals have just lowered the bar for them so high that you go back low that you go back and watch the originals. Like, wow, this is fantastic.
The third one's really good too.
The fourth one is atrocious. Though.
Yeah.
Do we want to take sequels into account? Because I don't think I did any sequels. I just
I think we're doing these for face value.
Let's just do these for face value. Then,
So for me, I've seen bits and pieces. I don't think I've ever seen the whole Nightmare on Elm Street, but I just am not into like. I don't know if you would consider it slasher,
it's a slasher movie.
I'm not into that. So for me, I get it's culturally relevant, but I wouldn't put it S tier. I'd put it A tier. Personally,
3 S's and an A. Sounds like an S to me.
That is a sa.
Put her up.
All right, next we have A Quiet Place.
Loved the sequel, hated the original.
And here's the thing with A Quiet Place.
Yeah,
I love it in the moment. I love it in the moment, but when you start to think about it, the cracks start to form.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's a very much a face value type of let's enjoy it while we're here.
Really thought the sequel was much stronger.
Yeah, I do think the sequel is better as well.
This to me was one of those kind of like it felt.
But
like
wait, we're not talking about fucking sequels.
Yeah,
I know.
Okay.
This felt like to me like a sequence the whole movie felt like a sequence in a video game where you have to be quiet, obviously, or like sneak through somewhere.
This summer gonna be a movie.
Like to me, this is like I didn't hate it. I liked that it was kind of novel and everything, and it was done decently well. But like, to me, that's like a C tier, if that.
Wow.
I
think the thing that hurts A Quiet Place is like that first experience in the theater watching it would be like an A tier experience, but the rewatchability of it isn't there like a lot lot of these other movies.
Yeah, it doesn't get me as hard, point. Pretty much. That's the best way to put it. I'm just not sitting there rock hard during. All right.
I think the other thing we have to keep into perspective too is that we're judging these against each other.
Yeah.
Right.
So any points against it is probably going to knock it down pretty low in the standings. So I think C is fair.
Okay. C it is.
Yeah, I could roll with that.
All right. Alien. Obviously S tier.
S.
Obviously.
Top tier.
Obviously. Why even talk about it?
No further discussion.
Okay, all right, ready? Here we go. The first Final Destination. Now this is, I feel like, is the first real fucking doozy here.
Okay.
I will tell you right now, I would not rate this higher than C.
So
really, okay.
I mean, me neither. But it's really hysterically interesting that everybody, probably like 5 years older than us and 5 years younger than us, knows the scene of Final Destination with the logs on the back of the car coming through and smashing.
That's Final Destination 2, though.
I know, but like what Final Destination has done to
we're not talking about sequels
of what Final Destination has done to a generation's brain. from a horror perspective and like a real world horror element.
It's called
of
trauma,
things
Mike.
is- yeah. They did a great job traumatizing all of us.
I had said before that like I wasn't into horror movies because they legitimately scared me. Final Destination is like the #1 component of that.
Yeah.
Like, I saw
Right.
this when it came out when I was 9 years old or whatever, 8 or 9, whatever it was, and I was traumatized by it because I don't like these movies where it's like my brain just goes, oh, well, this is how that could actually happen. It's
Yeah.
like, oh
Yeah.
shit, like no, I don't need to do that. Like,
Yeah.
It's not a
'cause, like,
boogeyman. It's actually a real life
you're like a
experience.
plate of
right.
glass
and
will
the,
cut me in
and the
half.
sequels just play on it further and further, and you're just like, I am out. I can't do that. I still can't watch these.
Okay,
I
so
agree. This one affected me too as a kid, and I think it's a really interesting premise.
Yes.
I'm not hearing any letters.
I would put it
D-tier.
in C,
I'm a D tier.
I think it's a D tier movie.
D tier. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
go
think,
D tier.
I think
it
this one
itself
has sequels that I
are
know we're not talking
better.
about sequels, but the sequels do things better than the original as opposed to some of these other ones.
Yeah.
And
I just to put it out there, I think we can talk about the sequels. It just doesn't weigh into because it is part of the conversation,
Okay.
but it doesn't weigh into the
Okay.
to the valuation.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to keep up with these rules.
Also,
all right?
from just from a general horror perspective of it, and kind of like a movie perspective, it's a bad film. Like,
yeah, no,
Well,
nobody's arguing that.
We also watched it when we were 9 years old.
yeah, no,
so.
not a single
no,
person.
they replay all of the Final Destinations on like Comedy Central
On
and everything
TNT.
throughout
Yeah.
high school. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, so
Okay, next is Get Out.
That's tough just because it's more recent, but I think it was fucking awesome.
I do think it was great as
I'll
well.
put it A or B.
I would
think.
say B tier for me.
B tier seems kind of low, but when you look at everything else on the list,
Seems
I
kind
kinda
of
get what you're
racist.
saying.
Jesus Christ.
No,
No, like, I mean, I tend to actually lean a little bit more towards like the elevated horror elements of thing. I like it.
but it's also horribly bloody and gruesome. And
There were other elements of Get Out that I was like, it could have been punchier with a lot of things.
here's what I'll say about Get Out. I think it's an A tier. It's not an S tier. Not because I
No.
don't think the movie's of quality, but it doesn't have the same legacy as the other two.
Right,
That
that's
are in
the
that.
thing. It hasn't had the legs yet.
Yeah.
I would put it A.
Yeah, I
I'll
would
give
put
you
it
A.
A.
I have it A.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
Sorry,
That's
Mike.
okay. Folks, this is what it's about.
All right. Next up, I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in there. It's Halloween.
Halloween is like my #1 horror movie, though I do understand why people get bored by it.
It's Halloween from 1973, not any of the remakes or sequels or.
It's an untouchable movie.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have a lot.
Why,
of these other
Mike?
ones
What do
without
you have to
Halloween.
say?
It's Nick's point exactly. Like,
It's incredibly slow, and I understand why
yes.
some people don't
Only
enjoy
3 people die. Not in
it. Yeah.
not
and they die in the last 15 minutes.
not
like,
an exclusively bloody film either.
no,
no, like,
which is why it's great. It's psychological.
Yeah, I would put it A just because compared to the other ones, but I understand like the impact of it.
Maybe when we move along, if we decide later on that we need to balance things, I could understand moving it down to A.
Ooh, I like
just
the
for that purpose.
rebalance
Yeah,
idea.
maybe we'll see.
Well,
We'll
we'll
see.
see.
Oh, that's an option. We can move these around later if necessary.
I guess it is now.
Yeah, fuck it.
Oh,
Who's
okay.
making the rules?
We are anyway. So, next up, Hereditary.
I think that's another.
I would put this A tier for sure.
Wow,
Yeah,
really?
Wow.
I'm gonna say A.
This
I really liked it, and I would like to put it A, but I didn't like it as much as Get Out. I think
Okay,
I really liked it.
I'm not hurt by this.
I would
just want
say
you to
A
know.
or
You
B.
were really sincere when
A
you
or
said
B.
that.
I would say a high B, if anything. If C is like confidently sitting.
Do y'all remember when this movie came out that there was a trend going around where people were so freaked out by what they heard about this movie that they were told just read the Wikipedia, and if you can get through that, you can see the movie?
Yeah,
Yeah, I did that. I did not see the movie after reading the Wikipedia. So.
I saw that, and I did that. I read the Wikipedia, and I got to a certain point in the story,
Yes.
which I don't want to spoil. And then I
think
was
that's
like,
the same point that
I
I had,
need to
yeah.
see the rest of this, and I immediately canceled my tickets to that Ocean's movie.
11.
Ocean's
Ocean's 8?
Yeah, there we go.
right?
We were gonna go see Ocean's 8. Returned my tickets.
You were
and
like,
we
"Sorry,
found-
Liz, we're going to a horror
I was like,
movie."
we're going to see Hereditary instead because I've heard because
Wait.
I read the first paragraph of the Wikipedia and I need to see how this
So I have
ends.
some questions, Ryan. You only know up to the point of like the car accident.
Yes, that's correct.
So you don't know anything about after that.
I have no idea what goes
It's
on after that.
Oh my
fucking
god, dude! What the fuck? You got to watch that movie.
So you just think it
ASAP.
was a story about a dysfunctional family, and then there was an accident.
Pretty much, yeah. But I know this is one that I have to make time for. It's just that scene was like just scarring, even
and
on
so
paper.
well done too. He stops. You know, he's in denial.
Yeah.
The most extreme version. And like, how do you tell anyone that? Man, so fucking good. All right, so I'm gonna go Hereditary with B.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're at. All right, Insidious.
Which, all right, so
What about the sequels, Nick?
is this the one that I always get them confused? Conjuring and Insidious. Insidious is the one with Tiny Tim as the soundtrack, and the red demon guy behind Patrick Wilson's head.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the like where the kid sees like the weird.
I
thing.
think
Toe through
this
the
movie
tulips. Yeah.
was like damn near perfect up until the third act, and then the third act that showed too much of the monster. So I fucking loved this one.
Okay. You got a letter to go with that, or
A or B? I'd probably put it
Okay.
in B safely.
Mike?
I mean, like, I liked that it launched like some of the other movies into again, like the sequels and shit. I do agree with you, Nick. This one was like a real strong starter, kind of shit finisher for me.
This was like the real kickoff of Blumhouse too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
this was like all of these like things. So I mean, for me, I'd put it probably comparatively to the other shit, maybe B or C.
okay. What about
Right.
you, Ryan?
I mean, I'll be honest, this is one I'm not that familiar with, but from what I've seen, it doesn't feel like it's anything like groundbreaking for the genre. Like it just kind of feels like a
Yeah.
ho-hum. This movie came out and it's pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Not groundbreaking, but when I saw it, I remember thinking like, this is a lot better than I was expecting it to be.
It
Right.
reignited my interest in horror at a
Okay,
point where I just
interesting.
wasn't interested in the genre.
Now, let me ask you a
anymore.
question. Have you seen Chapter 2?
Is that the one where they go back?
That's the one where that movie is basically going on at the same time as this
That
movie.
was cool
That
as
was the
fuck.
coolest fucking thing.
Yeah, it was really great.
And then the third one, they hit her with a car.
And that's it.
No, but the second one, the reason I bring up the second one is because even though I think the second one is literally just like a bookend to the first
It's
one.
like Back to the Future Part 2.
Yeah, but I also think Back to the Future Part 2 as well as Insidious Chapter 2 are better than their.
I'm with you on that one.
Okay,
I love
so
Back to the Future Part 2.
We're putting this at like a B.
I
put it at
I
a-
would put it at B.
Yeah.
Okay.
B is
What a-
fine.
what a-
I think the whole thing with this too, I feel like Insidious was one of those that kind of kicked off this whole genre of like horror in this way.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shit in that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of like I want to say it's like pop horror. is
Yeah.
how
That's
I
a
would
good
like
way to put
define
it.
it. So I'd say C just for what it did to the
Mike, I don't know if I would take
You're
that into
fine,
the.
though.
Okay.
I'm just standing my ground.
Next one on the list.
Don't have to ask.
The most divisive movie ever on this podcast.
Damn.
Malignant.
Oh, I thought it was The Shining.
No,
I was
no.
like,
Malignant.
That movie is wild, man.
Did
Like,
you-
when
alright.
when it twists on itself and it's like you find out what's really going on, your jaw is on the floor the entire rest of
I
the
was in
movie.
absolute disbelief of what I was watching, but I was having so much fun.
what's the
Same,
what's
yeah.
the lowest score that we have? Is it
An F.
F?
It should be in G.
I'm gonna put it in D because I don't think it was the worst thing I've ever seen, but I really did not enjoy it.
Yeah.
I didn't
I
like.
think
Go
I
ahead.
think D is totally fair.
Yeah.
Wow, I would have went like
there's
a B with this
There's
one.
only like one. I don't like. There's only like one or two cool scenes for me that stick out that I actually remember, and the rest of it is like, it reminds me of just bad '80s cinematography.
Well,
I know you're gonna disagree, but
Mike, I think they were intentionally doing a lot of things for it to be a B movie, but even that
He talks through the radio. Why? No one knows, but it's cool.
it's not cool.
It's awesome.
just because.
All right.
He's a tumor that talks through the radio.
All right, I'll put it at fucking D.
That's why it's
However,
a D.
I mean,
I
all
would have
so
given it a B.
It seemed like you two, Ryan and Pat, you guys really liked it. So if you wanted to bump it up to C, I would not protest, but I really think that that's not a good spot for it.
I think D is totally fair because I'll be perfectly honest, like this movie did not come out that long ago. I don't remember anything of note that happened before the big
I remember
twist.
all of it.
Exactly.
Just that one fight in the police station.
That is the like,
Yeah,
that is
it's
that
insane.
and the twist.
I remember that. I remember the opening scene.
But then
She gets her fucking head shoved in the wall.
yeah, that's fine.
I remember when she murders the one bitch.
No, I
And
just
when
remember
the lady falls through the fucking ceiling. Remember?
Yeah.
It turns out
Yeah.
he was hiding in her house
then
because
you
it's
don't
also
count,
his
'cause
house.
You have a photographic memory, so I don't care what you remember.
Okay, whatever. Night of the Living Dead.
A for me.
Okay, I would.
I
Put,
keep saying A.
but I would put
S.
this at S tier.
Yeah.
'Cause it's an absolute
this
classic.
Is literally just us making like the classic movies as top tier, like S tier, and like.
I mean, I would put it at S tier though. I really do love this movie, and I
do too.
think it did a lot for. I mean, like it invented a whole genre, a whole category that is still popular later on. You know what I mean? Boogans, yeah.
That's right.
Ryan.
I think that's a really good point. Like, so much is built off of this film that you
Can't
have to
not.
acknowledge the importance of that. I think
They
is
have to
probably a
put
good
shit
spot
on
for it,
other
though.
zombie movies that claims that they're not ripping off all of the zombie movies that George Romero made.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the box for Dead Rising, there's a little black square in the bottom left-hand corner that says this game is not trying to emulate George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
I think the reason that this should go A instead of S is because for the average fan, I don't think it has the cultural significance that those other three in S tier do.
I will agree with you there, and I also think that the color remake is arguably better than this one because it's just a much more modern update on the original movie. George A. Romero wrote it and shot it himself, and the political themes are a lot. They're presented a lot better in that one. Like I said, I think this movie has a strong legacy, obviously, but I do think the remake does a better job of telling the story. So I think A is actually good too.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Even
Plus the remake's got them titties in it. Anyway, Paranormal Activity.
It's groundbreaking,
Steven Spielberg shut it off.
This is a D
but
for me.
I would put it in D territory.
I don't understand why these movies are as popular as they are. Personally,
This is the one that set the they made this one for what $1 million with a couple cameras, 2 actors, barely a script.
Yeah, they just stuck some cameras in like the high corners of
Exactly.
ceilings and were like, shoot it.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think if there was anything on this list that would be considered for F tier, I think this is the one.
yeah,
Wow.
I think so. I would agree with
Well,
that.
okay. All right, we're gonna put it in D though because I like it.
Okay.
And I have overriding power.
So
Go on. What were you saying?
I kind of consider this. I consider Paranormal Activity and Blair Witch to be of like basically the same genetics.
Found footage, yeah, like
Yeah, it's found footage. style.
So I mean, like, do you think one rises above the other?
I think
Blair
Blair
Witch.
Witch way rises above this.
Did Blair Witch even make it on this list?
I think it's on there.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
We'll talk about it when we get to it.
Yeah.
So I would say if you're gonna put one in D and one in F, I would put Blair Witch in D and
I wouldn't even
Paranormal
put- I would-
Activity
I would,
in F.
I would put Blair Witch higher, but we'll get there.
You put Blair Witch in D?
I said they're basically the same thing.
I thought it was one of those things where they're
I
made
think
up of the same
they're only
parts.
similar in style of filmmaking.
Yeah, I think
but
they're
one
similar
is
in
far
style.
superior than the other.
Yeah, and not only do I think one is far superior, but I mean the other thing is
What tier would
they're
you put it
both
in?
game changers too. Like Paranormal Activity is one of the most highly successful like horror franchises now, and Blair Witch created an entire genre of horror.
I think the other thing too is that the marketing campaign around Paranormal Activity was one of the first ones, at least that I was I was aware of the like people are pissing their pants in the theater.
Yes,
Where they would have
yeah.
the night.
Well, that's what
night
they said.
vision
They had a
shots.
fucking testimonial from Spielberg being like, "I turned this movie off because it was so scary."
Oh, I thought you were saying you turned it off because you didn't like it.
No, Spielberg turned it off because it was too scary. He said,
baby.
So all right, so where are you putting Paranormal Activity?
I would hang it as D or F.
Yeah.
"I'm gonna go to F. That's where you guys want it. So that's where it's going."
The only other thing that, like, looking at the rest of the list, the only other thing that I could see potentially going in F is maybe VHS.
Who are you?
We'll get. We'll
Okay,
get there,
anyway.
folks. We'll keep going.
All right. Anyway, Psycho, the original Psycho.
That's an S tier movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, all that chocolate syrup down the drain. Who's gonna argue?
What a waste.
All right. First Saw movie. Solid B. I would give it a solid B.
I feel good with B as well.
I have no opinion.
Why not?
I'm just not a genre that I'm into. Body mutilation, not about it.
Yeah,
that first one feels so different than the other ones.
I was about to say the other ones were just kind of like, oh, that worked. Let me step.
Oh,
this the
you guys
fuck
didn't
up.
like the one where they strap a dude to the bottom of a tank, and then a bunch of fucking dead pigs come in on a chain and they get churned up in this blender type of thing, and then it fills up the tank. So basically, they got to complete this puzzle or whatever to get fucking a key to locks before the pig guts suffocate the guy like in this like fucking tank full of.
Oh my god.
Yeah, not about that.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Very inventive.
The thing that's great about the first Saw is that the big takeaway is it's a psychological horror thriller film. But when they made the rest of them, they were like, we just want all the crazy machines and gadgets and everything, and that's what the movie.
And I saw them every year they came out. They came out for like sequentially for like 8 years in a row every Halloween, and I saw them. And I didn't particularly think they were good movies, but I was there to see people get tortured. Like, how inventively can they torture people? I'm here for it. You know what I mean?
I'm with Nick. These movies don't do it for me just because I'm like, I don't need to see this.
And then I think it was in Saw 3 or 4, when people were complaining about how gratuitous the traps really were and how they really didn't like play to the character motivations, they started basing the traps really around like the characters. So like all of a sudden there's these traps showing up that people can't get out of. That's not the game though. The game is that even though it's painful, you can get out if you have the strength to get through. So that's how like the detectives figure out that like he's not setting up these traps anymore. It's his apprentice and she's just out for blood. Then they did like all of the characters who are stuck in traps now. There are some elaborate shit. There's no way one person could put this all together, right?
Yeah.
But it relates literally back to whatever their character arc is. So like,
wait, it's just like yes,
like this one guy always bends the rules for his cop buddies. He's like, so he's in a machine that will literally bend his arms and legs and twist them all the way around until they literally rip off.
Yeah, that's like too deep for me. Like,
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
like, okay, like,
yeah, exactly.
It makes all the gore worth it.
I mean, that was their excuse, you know. And then there's like they try to build the universe. Carrie Elways shows up again at some point. Like, it's weird.
I went to a few years back. I went to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, and we went and did 8 or 9 haunted houses.
Yeah.
Like Hollywood production haunted houses. The only one that I was scared to go in was the Saw house. I was like, I don't know if I could do this.
I would have liked to gone in that one.
I would have been terrified.
Yeah, no, I made it through, but it was the only one where I was like holding Alexis's hand, and I was like, you're gonna go first.
I don't know how you can be scared in those things because it's a single file line of thousands of people. You know what I mean?
Dude, I don't know.
And they are just shuffling you in like cattle. Like, you were never alone in those things.
Yeah.
The only one I got scared at was when Bent Neck Lady showed up above me in the Hill House haunted.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's just a long tunnel.
Neck Lady.
And then I'm walking and I go, it's just nothing but darkness. And all of a sudden a bunch of smoke and purple lights show up above your head and Bent Neck Lady's like right over you. And that was it. That was the only one I got scared of. Everything else I was a big boy for.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks. All right. Anyway,
Where are we
Saw.
throwing
I think the first one deserves the B tier.
I think it deserves a B. The first one at least deserves a B.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do what you must.
The first Scream.
Again, I don't really have an opinion on Scream.
I would give it an A.
I think
I love Scream. I think it deserves an A.
I think it deserves an A. Scream is one of the franchises that I have trouble with because this is to me the quintessential just fucking have a conversation and this won't happen movie.
But I feel like that's the whole reason that they don't the whole reason that they don't have the conversation is because it's supposed to be a play on.
Right, I get it. I can't get past that.
Okay.
Like, that's just a me thing.
Okay, so we're letter.
It's up to you
A
guys.
is good.
A is good.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We got an A.
We need some bad ones. Let's fill
All
out
right.
some F categories.
Well,
Got
here
too
we-
many good ones.
Okay, here we go. We got the Blair Witch Project.
That's a C for me. Like,
Okay, we got a
I
C.
think C is fair.
C.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like found footage is a bad way to make a film. It's not, but you have to hold it against it to an extent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it was a clever idea, but it's not. Well, you look at what else is above it, and you're like, oh, well, everything else that went into these is so much more of a spectacle. This one,
There's great writing and great production in the rest of them.
Next we have The Conjuring. Solid, I think a solid B, honestly. Like it's good and it spawned an awesome franchise, and I like reading into like what the Warrens did and everything. But I watched that movie recently, and it's just it doesn't have the same
you're saying B?
sparkle. Yeah, I said
I would say B or C. I think is fair.
I'm with you. I think more of a C. I'm like where like it loses the.
Yeah, it doesn't have the magic anymore.
It's honestly a little surprising how long this franchise has gone on, because none of them really stand out.
Or happened, you know. There's that too. None of them really.
They all really happened.
No, okay.
The Warrens. They said it happened.
Yeah, okay. They were just called liars and crooks their entire career. Yeah.
So C.
I think it's a C movie.
All right, let's go for C.
Yeah.
C.
I will remember that the fucking trailer for this movie scared the shit out of me. All right. Somehow this movie ended up on the list. We have Stephen King's The Mist.
I put it on here.
Frank Darabont.
And a lot of people have seen it. So
yeah.
All right, so
should have been in black and white, just like the monsters.
Well, there is a black and white version.
Well, now there is,
yeah.
but
so as far as this movie's concerned, I would give it like a C or a D.
I think that's.
I think like a D. A D.
I agree.
Because like it's an interesting concept and there is some fun execution, but the CGI is fucking atrocious, and the moment to moment dialogue is like, did they write this in crayon with the R reverse, like
with the R reverse?
Plus that one religious bitch.
That's the problem I have.
Oh,
with
it's
this.
awful.
It's like
it's like, why did nobody shut her up, and why are you all following her, and also like come near me or try and take my child, and I will literally pull your spine out through your ass.
The character decisions in this movie is what hurts it, because every decision that's made by every character, you're just like, that's literally the exact opposite of what you should have done, and it keeps happening with everybody.
And I know it's supposed to be like, like under pressure in like, a vacuum situation, then you're doing shit
human
like
nature.
that. Yeah, human nature. But I completely agree. It's so frustrating. And the fact when the religious bitch dies, she's splayed out like Christ on the cross. I was like,
who directed? Frank Darabont?
Frank Darabont.
I like that. Like for me, I was just like, God damn it.
What do you guys think about the ending of this movie? Because there's two, and I don't know which one's the theatrical one.
I don't know either.
The first one is he murders his whole family, and then not seconds later does the army actually show up and save them. Is that the theatrical?
That's the theatrical
and then
ending.
the one that I saw, which is the one they changed because everyone hated that ending, was the one where they just like when they're right about to kill themselves, the army shows up and everyone survives.
I like the first ending better because I feel it fits more with the rest of the movie. Like
the new ending is boring. Like it's not. There's nothing gripping to it. Where like when you see that first ending and the decision that it came to, where it's like a Russian roulette and like we're gonna kill everyone else in this car, including his own son, after they realize that the rest of his family's dead, only for them to just show up right after. It's just a gut punch.
It's gutting,
They drive past his house and they see his wife in the window with her chest burst out too, right? So that's how he knows she's dead. Like she's all cocooned and shit.
Right.
Such good visuals, but horrible fucking dialogue in that movie.
Yes.
I remember that too. And then he had no bullet for himself, right?
Exactly right. Yeah. They only had enough bullets to kill. I think there were 5 people in the car, and he only had enough bullets for 4.
Yeah.
He was the lone survivor.
And then they showed up.
Which everything is as frustrating in that movie as that ending.
Yeah. Okay. So the Purge, the original Purge.
Tough one for me because
it's just kind of it's disappointing because this Purge was like it's a cool idea but horrible execution in the sense that they only landed at a home invasion movie, which is so fucking stupid. The Purge, the second, what's the second one called? Purge Anarchy, and then the third one.
The second one is Anarchy.
Yeah, and then the third one is
4th of July one's like.
They had a whole. They had a
election year,
too.
and they had election year.
That one.
And then they did the newest one I just saw, the Purge, where white supremacists on the border.
Oh, right.
God,
Oh, yeah,
what the
I
fuck
forgot about that
on?
one.
I gotta look it up right now. I'm sorry.
I think the Purge movies feel like they get better over time.
I'm sorry. It was the Purge Anarchy, the Purge Election Year. Then there's the first Purge, which is the prequel, and then there's the Forever Purge, which is the one where the guys take over the country. All of these movies are all of the sequels are better than the first one because they actually deliver on the idea. But the reason they said they had to make the first one so small and sell everyone on the idea is because they didn't have the budget to do what they wanted to do. But now that it's an actual franchise. Yeah. But like, here's the thing. Once again, the Purge movies, not amazing stories, but at least I can follow them like confidently, and you get to see what that environment's like, because not only do they tell these personal vignette stories of each Purge and like people inside of it and like what happens, they also cut to the random acts of violence that happen in the streets that would be happening in the streets. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so, they have a political message, which is cool.
Yeah, it is very contemporary for sure.
For this one, for me, it's a D with the original Purge, because
with the original
I'm
Purge.
just like, you saw all of the previews. I remember seeing the previews for this movie being like, that is so cool. Like, that's such a cool concept. That's a cool topic. And like, to your point, Pat, where it's like, yeah, it's a home invasion movie.
Yeah.
About like a rich dude protecting his family. And I was like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I like the whole twist that it turns out all the shit that he sold them never worked in the first place. And the reason that they know that is because it turns out the people who were trying to break in were the fucking neighbors, or they were hired by the neighbors rather.
Well, no, all this stuff worked. They were the neighbors, and they were like, you flaunt this big, beautiful house with all the money you've taken from us to protect you.
It was really... I like the idea that the neighbors were in on it, but I don't like it's like, yeah, we're upset that you made a profit off of us because we bought something from you. It's like,
yeah, it's like you chose to buy it.
That's capitalism,
also, like, you would have died if you didn't.
Yeah.
So,
also, like if I had a used car that I was selling and my neighbor bought it from me, and I take that money and go get a better car, are you showing up my house with a knife because I used the money that you paid me to go get something better than what I just sold you? Like, what?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give this a D because, once again, good idea, horrible execution.
Yeah.
All right. Now we got The Ring. I got to be honest. I've seen The Ring, but I can't remember it.
I remember being scared shitless.
I don't remember I don't remember like what the solution to the plot is. I don't remember what the resolution is. There's a well. She comes out of a TV. Like
I think this is a B for me because it falls right where Saw is to me. Like, it does have a big cultural impact and things, but I don't. Yeah,
Japanese horror basically became the new standard like overnight when this came out. Mm-hmm. I mean, The Shining.
That's S tier.
That's S tier.
That's S tier movie for
like
me.
It's talk about a fucking perfect movie from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're down to the last four, gentlemen. First up, M. Night Shyamalan is The Sixth Sense. Where are we putting it?
To me, like, it's been a long time since I've seen it. Is it really even a horror movie? Like, to me, it's more of like a suspense.
I would absolutely categorize it as horror. There's a lot of gore in that movie.
I don't remember the gore.
Yeah,
I remember it more being like a mystery.
I mean, there's a mystery to it for sure. But I feel like the part where they see the poison girl, where the one kid blows out the back of his head, the lady that gets hit by the car, like Bruce Willis.
Oh.
Like you get to see Bruce Willis.
Horrifying.
I think there's probably, if not S, then probably A. Just because think of how like culturally important it was.
It's also one of those movies I saw once when I was like fucking 8 or 9, and I remember everything from.
And like, not only that, it's also just a good movie.
Yeah.
This movie was what made M. Night Shyamalan
a twist.
It was like he was called the next Spielberg.
Put him on the map.
Yeah.
Like people thought he was going to be the biggest thing in Hollywood because of this movie. So I think A is
I would say A is pretty solid.
What about you, Ryan?
I think A is totally fair with this one.
All right, it's going up there.
It's probably the highest grade M. Night's ever gotten for anything he's made. So
yeah. Just can't wait for Knock at the Cabin.
I know.
Rupert, don't answer the door. Anyway, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's an A for me.
I know.
You guys know me. I am unashamed at how much I love this movie.
I also love Texas Chainsaw. I think A is totally fair. It's one of the best slasher films.
Honestly,
yeah.
So
here's why I don't want to bump it up to S, because it itself is amazing. Everything but I feel like that's it.
Yes.
Like there's no long legacy of like good like highlighted spots in Texas Chainsaw history after that. Like anything they've tried to do after this first one is just trash. I mean, God, that newest one that they did.
Oh, so bad.
Oh my God, I could not believe that they made that a movie. But now that I look back on it, that movie was actually better than the Munsters. So
right,
true. That last one was like a comedy, basically.
It had good ideas too. The whole idea that these millennials left the city in buses to buy these old Midwestern towns and shape them up and
people out of their houses,
basically gentrify that area the same way that the rich billionaires have kicked them out of. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So and Leatherface wasn't even gonna kill the one girl. He only wanted the guy that hit his mom or whatever. So and he didn't live there. It was so weird. There's all these legalities and everything. It got muddled in its own bullshit, and then the kills were fucking stupid. That one lady gets a chainsaw thrown through her at one point. Yeah. They also try to set up this plot the girl who survived the first one is coming back to the same way they did with Laurie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But also the reason why Halloween has literally done that 5 times at this point, where it's Jamie Lee Curtis is coming back to fight the reason why they've done that is because in that first movie that confrontation was built up, the two of them, that he, no matter what it was, they were siblings or whatever, because they've since retconned that they're not siblings.
I don't think they were originally.
Well, in Halloween 2, in Halloween 2 was the retcon, but that he had an affinity for her for whatever reason. But now it turns out it's not that, it's just a house, whatever. But my point is that the reason why they could do that is because of that connection between the two characters, where that was never established in Texas Chainsaw lore at all.
It was just one.
It was just they were let's do. They did that for Halloween. We could do this for us, no problem. So Texas Chainsaw. I'm gonna go ahead with A. What do you guys think?
Let's say A.
A.
Yep, A's good.
I have no opinion.
Oh my God, who are you? You have so many movies to watch. All right. The Thing.
S.
It's got to be S tier.
Easy.
Just put it up there.
I mean, the fucking special effects alone.
Yeah, incredible. And then Kurt Russell at his hottest.
Yeah. Did you guys know that movie was critically panned at the time and people hated it? And I was just like, what do you some of this shit that they're doing in this movie is the reason why you can still do practical effects as well. You know what I mean?
And then they did the remake and it was all CGI and it looked terrible.
Well, originally they did do it all with practical effects. But the Weinstein actually himself hated the cut of the movie and had them rework the entire story and reshoot everything they did with practical effects with CGI. And if they couldn't, then just paint it out. And that's what led to the horrible CGI. It was
probably the
mess.
worst thing that Harvey ever did.
Okay. Come here, baby. Let me wide studio. Mike, you good?
I think Mike got diarrhea.
It happens a lot, honestly, quite frequently.
So we got one.
So we got one left, but I don't want to start it until Mike comes back. So
because we need his opinion.
So Ryan, how is it out? How is it out in L.A.?
I mean, it's sunny.
What is going on?
We got that going for us.
What are you doing? What did you do?
I was checking the camera angle.
Oh, okay.
See if we're still looking at the screen.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
it's right there.
That doesn't. Oh, I guess it does.
Yeah,
no.
That right there, what you're looking at next to Ryan, that is literally the feed of the show.
I probably should have realized that before I got up.
Yeah, I know. This is what it goes back to me being like, we've been doing this for 2 years, and how you haven't picked up on 90% of this shit is wild to me.
All that matters is when I'm back there, I know what I'm doing.
And even that is a loaded statement. Yeah. So, all right. So Ryan, tell us about LA. Trials and tribulations.
LA is good over here. Things are picking up. Fall season's always crazy for industry shooting and stuff. There's so many projects filming right now with all 15 or 20 different streaming services we got now. So it's busy.
Yeah. So how often are you on set working on stuff?
Normally it's like 3 or 4 days a week I'm working on something, whether it's a TV show, film, or a commercial, something like that.
Sweet.
I've actually been out of work for the last 6 weeks now because I broke my ankle.
Oh,
So,
shit.
Oh shit.
Yeah, broke my ankle working out, so that was fun. So yeah, I'm going back next week, I think so.
How loud did you scream from the pain when you broke?
I didn't. It wasn't a scream. It was more of like just a oh fuck, I know what I just did.
How deep was the
like,
cave you were in when you broke it?
Don't ruin it.
All right. The last movie, everyone. VHS. Now listen, before we get started, I know there's some pretty hot opinions on this one because we have watched this multiple times. Like we watched this at least 3 years in a row in college, like for sure. Because I remember we had to watch the old ones because the new one was coming out. And guess what? The new one comes out this week. There's
I'm
another
looking
one.
forward to it.
The last one. Did we watch the last one together? VHS 99.
Was that the one with like the Godzilla type monster in it?
What?
I guess not.
What?
There was like one where there was like some like weird underground facility, and then there was like a kaiju monster that you don't see it,
my
but you just
God.
like the ground shakes.
That one?
Maybe yeah.
There was the last one was the one where the serial killer doctor gets caught making the lady a cyborg.
I don't remember that.
And it's
one.
shot from a first person
I don't know
perspective.
if I saw that one.
There's
actually.
one where the lady does investigation about the underground people and finds she's looking for this guy called Rat Man, and turns out it's an underground cult that worships this monster called the Rotman, and they take over the city. It's fucking wild. It was really good. We watched it. I can't believe you haven't seen this.
Maybe I have.
It's on Shudder.
Yeah. Well, I gotta re-up my Shutter subscription.
You know me.
You got all these movies to watch.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first VHS though.
Yeah. Let's run through which ones were in the first one.
Okay. The first one was
The Harpy lady.
This chick at the club is a vampire, which got its own movie.
Really?
And I heard it's actually not bad. So chick in the club is a vampire. Then the next one is we're on vacation and my girlfriend's really a lesbian. That's the second one.
Oh, what a horror!
I know.
Yeah, the second honeymoon one.
Yeah.
That was written and directed by Ty West. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
But now it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Then the third one was we're in it, I'm in it, or I guess I'm impregnated by aliens, but we have a relationship over Skype. And the guy who I'm dating on Skype is working with the aliens. What's that one called, Mike?
What?
I don't remember any of these.
Then the fifth one was let's go to this Halloween party.
That I remember.
Turns out these guys are having a seance to exorcise a witch. And we fucking die in a train accident afterwards.
And then there's the forest one,
What's the forest one?
where they're going through the forest and like there's the invisible thing in the forest and they get like a bear trap and shit.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Digital Man.
The glitch or whatever.
Yeah, the glitch.
Not-
Why can't I film you? Yeah. Okay.
Not the Predator.
Not the Predator.
Close
no.
to the Predator,
No,
but
no. Okay, so Ryan, have you seen this movie?
I have not, but it sounds like an absolutely wild
Dude,
time.
it's cool.
Dude, okay.
Stories.
So it's an anthology film. And
Right.
don't forget the
I
overarching
was gonna
story
say,
too.
yeah.
The overarching story is these guys are hired to break into a house and steal a bunch of VHS tapes. So they're trying to figure out what VHS tape they have to take, and each one that they play to test out tells these stories of like these horror shits going on. I don't think this one is necessarily great, but it's solid. At least like to start to get you off, because the idea is
This one'll get you off.
this one will really do the trick. No, to really get you going in the right direction, pretty much though with this franchise.
Okay.
And but I do think the sequels are better. Like I think 2 and 4 are the best, and 1 or 3 in the weakest.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I enjoy the VHS, this one and the franchise, but when you're stacking it up against all these movies, I do think it belongs in the F tier. relative to the rest of these.
I do agree with you, Nick. I like this movie. I really like a lot of the cool kind of concepts of everything going on with it.
I would give it at least a C.
But I was originally gonna put it into a C, and then Nick like to that point where it's like, like it's a D or an F just comparatively, and that doesn't mean it's a bad movie.
No, it just means it's stacked up against a lot of great movies.
Okay.
Do you think something that hurts it compared to the other ones is that it's not like one contained story like the rest of them? That because there's so many different stories going on that if one hits and one misses, it if one of two misses, it detracts from the film.
Yes, that is definitely a different. I feel like that's a matter of perspective, though. You know what I mean? Like I don't go into this movie expecting one long narrative. I know what it is.
Yeah,
you know
I think the bigger thing is that they're all incredibly low budget.
Yeah.
And they're all of the stories are weaker. There's elements that I really enjoyed about them, and they're fun, to explore. But at the end of the day, each individual story is much weaker than anything else on this list.
All right, so we're going with the F, and that's it, everybody. We have completed it. Let me get the applause. We have completed it, everyone. We have. Nope.
I gotta keep running with it, Pat.
I want. Oh, da-da-da-da.
Do we know which any are?
I think it's on page 3 or 4.
Yeah, where the hell are they?
Yeah, there you go. That'll tell you.
Well, here, we'll get you the applause. Here you go, Pat. Here you go.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, we finished it. So, guys, overall, what do you think of this tier list before we run into clip of the week?
You want to just read them out by tier?
So, by tier, for S tier, we have Nightmare on Elm Street, we have Alien, we have Halloween, Psycho, The Shining, and The Thing. For A, we have Get Out, Night of the Living Dead, Scream, The Sixth Sense, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. B tier, we have Hereditary, Insidious, Saw, and The Ring. C tier, we have A Quiet Place, The Blair Witch Project, and The Conjuring. D, I was going to do one of those things where I just make up the title or describe the situation because I can't remember, but then I realized the titles are on
the posters.
Yeah. For D, we have Final Destination, Malignant, The Mist, and The Purge. And for F, we have Paranormal Activity and VHS. Man, oh man, Joe would freak out if he found out about that VHS.
I kind of want to flip Malignant and VHS.
I would put, again, Malignant is an F for me. So but
Ryan, you're the tiebreaker.
Oh, that's tough. VHS sounds like it's a better film than Malignant.
I enjoyed VHS way more than Malignant.
Don't make me fucking do this. But okay, there you go. There you go.
I have a question.
What?
Sure.
Should Insidious be a full rung ahead of The Conjuring?
I gonna
I don't think so.
a lot of B's and C's should be.
Whoa, what?
No. The Conjuring is a C as well.
Oh, I see.
I think Conjuring.
I think they should be in the same bracket.
I totally disagree. Insidious is much better than The Conjuring.
I disagree with that.
It's a more fun story.
Okay, let's not do this. Okay, we made the list. All right, I moved Malignant for you. Okay, I'm not moving anything else.
If you want to put them back, that's fine.
You get one mulligan.
Okay, so yeah, that's our tier list. I'll go ahead and I'll screenshot that. That's for us, for nobody else.
That's for you guys, the fans.
Oh.
See, we're gonna put this out on social media and get eaten alive.
Destroyed.
That'd be awesome.
Let's mess it up right now. Let's flip it all and put Psycho and F and
Pinocchio is an S.